These are your Chapter 11 video directions for the week. And our topic this week is assessing children's learning and development. Last week we wrote our lesson plan, and part of the lesson plan is assessing to see if the objective has been met. This presentation is going to help you more thoroughly understand the importance of assessment. I'm going to read through this slide. Basically, when I say the word assessment, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? I want you to share that first thing on a Padlet board right here for participation. Then we're going to answer the question, what is assessment? This is assessment defined. What are the forms of assessment? There's two main sections on forms of assessment, formative assessment and summative. Read about them and listen to the podcast. And informal and formal assessment. And again, read the slide and listen to the podcast. What are the different types of informal assessments? So we're going to focus in on that informal assessment, and we'll see the observation is one of the biggest types of informal assessment. So you can read about the different forms of observation. Then you're going to read about the benefits of observation, watch the video, and then share on Padlet the answer to this question. How do you best record what you observe? This slide is going to give you 9 steps to focus on when you're doing observation. A lot of this that you have accomplished as you went in and you observed students in that 15-minute snapshot. There's also a slide here, part of the slide is tips for keeping your anecdotal data objective. And it has a good example and a bad example. And again, these are the things that you've been doing throughout the semester when you go in and do your observational hours. Read through that and see if that makes sense to you. That is the main purpose of that 15-minute snapshot, is to help you learn how to be an objective observer and note taker. This is going to give you the opportunity to see some of the assessment forms that are on online resources, because when you are observing, you need to record what you see. And there's lots of different ways we're going to be doing that. So click right here. This will take you to my Pinterest board on assessment, and you can just browse through some of the forms that are available to record your observations in the classroom. Another form of informal assessment is performance assessment. So read about it and watch the video. And then dynamic assessment, same thing, read the slide and watch the video. What specific assessment data should I gather during these assessments? So we want descriptive records, listen to the podcast, frequency counts, checklists, and you can click on this checklist, will take you to the actual checklist you can read a little more closely. Rating scales and rubrics, again, you can click on this to get to the actual assessment slide that you can see more closely. And portfolio assessment, and you can watch the video of portfolio assessment explained. I want you to now share what you're seeing out there in your observation placements. What forms of assessment have you observed teachers using? Have you seen checklists? Have you seen portfolios? Have you seen rubrics? Have you seen anecdotal notes, frequency counts, descriptive records? I'd like you to pick one of these assessments that you've seen and click here and share on Padlet, describing what the teacher was doing and what the students were doing during this assessment. Also, do you think this assessment was the best type of tool the teacher could use? And what other tools could the teacher use in the same situation? Moving on, we're going to look at formal assessment. So what are the different types of formal assessments? And the main type of formal assessment is called a standardized assessment, and you can read about standardized assessment on this slide. And then you can read about the 2 types of standardized tests. We have criterion reference tests and norm reference tests. And you can see in the little dashed boxes some specific examples of each that you may encounter in a classroom of students. Why do we assess students? Maybe we should have started with this, but now that you know all the assessment tools out there, why is this important? There's 4 main reasons. And so then we're going to go through each of these reasons. So the first one is to improve that instruction. And we have a podcast up in the corner you can listen to. Identifying needs of learners. The podcast is in this corner. Screening. And our podcast is right here. and diagnosing, and that podcast is right there. Then you're going to do a try it out. We have 2 videos. One is a screening test and one is a diagnostic test. I'd like you to watch each of the videos and then share on Padlet which one is which. So video number 1, video number 2, and then how do you tell the difference? So share that right here on our Padlet board. Then another reason we have testing is to evaluate quality of a program. So we're going to click right here for the podcast and increase accountability. The podcast is right down in this corner this time. Last but not least, what makes an assessment effective? If you have to choose one assessment each time you teach a lesson to know that your children have learned that objective that you wrote, what is going to help you create effective assessments? So there's 3 main things that we look at. You're going to read through this slide and then listen to the podcast. And then we're going to do a try it out. The try it out is on the Educanon website, which has been renamed to Play Pose It. So you'll click right here on this video, and that will link you right into the Educanon video. You're going to be watching the video and answering the questions. Now, in the past when you've done this, most of your questions have been multiple choice. Today, we're going to be doing open-ended questions that have multiple parts. So some of these videos will ask you 2 and 3 questions. Make sure that you're recording an answer to each of your questions, and then you're going to Dropbox your answers in the participation folder for our week. The rest of your weekly assignments are listed here. We have 4 online participations on slide 2, 10, 22, and 32. You have 1 Dropbox activity, and that's that Educanon video on slide 37. Also to be working on is finishing up that philosophy of education, which is due on April 25th, and to begin to gather your materials for your professional portfolio. We will revisit that. It's not due till May 9th, but we will revisit that probably next week just to give you some more details on what you should be collecting. The introduction video we already went through, but I'm going to give you some directions on how to share that. And last, we're moving through our last chapter, and that's chapter 16. So if you want to skim through that for next week as well. If you have any questions at any point, remember, drop me a message, drop me an email, put it on Facebook, put it on D2L. I will find you, and I will help you out.